The Hero Killer's Apprentice by Lily Pinwielder. Read by Niche-lle. Had you asked anyone whether the hero killer could possibly have a partner, they'd have laughed in your face. There wasn't much known about him, but what was known was this. He used knives and blades to kill heroes that he deemed unworthy, and he worked alone. Hostility, the vigilante, had no visible ties to the killer, besides maybe a similar aesthetic and the penchant for blades. The hero killer killed. That was what he did. Hostility, however, was known to roam the streets and alleys, stopping petty thieves and muggers and warning them to turn their lives around, for he would not spare them if he fought them again. He seemed kind, walking the victims home if the streets were quiet enough. He was about as far from the hero killer as could be, which is why the events that took place in the background of UA's sports festival were so incredibly shocking. Here live, outside the festival grounds where Mount Lady and Kamui Woods were attacked by a boy wielding long blades reminiscent of the hero killer. The heroes were on duty patrolling the perimeter of UA during its annual sports festival, following the brutal attack on its USJ training ground a few weeks ago. The suspect is said to be a boy in a black sweatshirt with the word "die" in all caps on it. He had a hood pulled low, so there is no description of his face, but judging by the knives and the ruthless slicing attacks, authorities say he may be the vigilante known as Hostility. Though with this devastating attack on the pro-heroes mentioned, his status has been elevated to villain. Sources say that Kamui Woods and Mount Lady were brutally attacked with no prior warning. The villain seemed more interested in escaping after his first strikes and immediately fled the scene before reinforcements could arrive. Though it is clear that words were exchanged during this one-sided fight, it is not at this time known what the boy said. The heroes were treated on-site by UA's resident nurse, Recovery Girl, and are both expected to make a full recovery. Any information on the villain Hostility should be... The TV turned off, and Stain raised an eyebrow at his apprentice. You want to tell me what happened? A year you're shadowing me, sneaking off to kick the crap out of my targets before I can kill them, warning them to shape up before I can come for them. And I allowed it because your conviction was admirable. The boy says nothing, merely continues twirling his knife in his fingers, a small slip of paper clenched in his other hand. Stain sighs. When you offered to shadow Endeavor today to find out where he lives, I thought it was because you wanted to see the festival. I did. The voice is hoarse, and Stain runs a hand down his face to hide another sigh. Figures the boy's been off crying this whole time. Makes him feel almost guilty for going after Ingenium instead of being there for his student. Yeah, just student. Stain leans back against the wall and crosses his arms in a show of casualness. So what happened then? The boy's hood is still on, and there's blood soaking the sleeves. Judging by the footage going around the news stations, though, it's pretty clear that it's the blood of the heroes. He has the fleeting thought to test the boy's theory on whether blood freshness and distance have any bearing on his quirk effectiveness, and has to literally stop his tongue from leaving his mouth. Focus. Sad apprentice first, quirk experiments later. The boy breathes out a long sigh and leans back to stare at the ceiling. I just lost control for a second. He forces out a laugh. My own hostility caught me off guard, and before I knew it, my body just moved on its own. Stain frowns. That happen often? The boy huffs and runs a hand through his short green hair, finally dislodging the hood. Just once before. He places the knife down and smooths out the paper he was holding. Before. He places the paper down, revealing an old newspaper clipping. You still going after Endeavor next? Stain sees the diversion for what it is, but decides to let it slide. He moves off the wall and heads to his hero listings. Got one more planned for Hosu first. Knowing Endeavor, he'll make sure to be around the city in hopes of catching me, and I can get them both at once. The boy nods. All right. If you follow the regular pattern, that leaves me a bit of time to track down and warn Native first, right? Stain grimaces. I don't get you, boy. You claim they have a chance to change, and yet you have no more trust or faith in heroes than I do. Today was proof enough of that. Slam. The boy's fists clench atop the table, and the air around him turns dark and menacing. Hostile. His namesake. Those ones are no heroes. He spits, dark eyes locking onto Stain's. Slaves to the masses and the media. Even the innocent reduced to necessary sacrifices on the altar of their popularity. Scum of the earth. His hand grasps his knife and plunges it through what Stain can now see as an article, a large picture of 4 posing heroes on top. The knife slams down, buried to the hilt in the wood of the table, and Stain wonders if he'll ever manage to pry it free.
What is the point of being a hero?
The boy hisses.
If saving your image is more important than the people you were sworn to protect.
Silence falls, save for the boy's harsh, rapid breaths, and before Stain can say a word, his apprentice stands up straight and brushes himself off. I'm going out, he says, voice calm and smooth once again. Don't wait up. The door slams shut, and Stain growls under his breath. An emotional Izuku is a reckless Izuku, and a reckless Izuku is liable to wind up injured or worse. Not that injuries ever slow him down. Hostility would bleed for the people, and already has. And now he's labeled a villain for attacking a pair of false heroes. It makes Stain's blood boil. This boy that could have been a true hero, if he weren't cast out by the society he would die to protect. Had Stain not followed him when he had he denied him a place to stay, well, Izuku had fallen into his lap quite literally, and Stain had no delusions about what exactly the boy had been doing up on that roof. Stain heads for the door, but pauses as his gaze catches on the stabbed article. The knife has sliced through what was clearly Kamui Woods. Death Arms, Mount Lady, and Backdraft stand beside him in heroic poses. There's a massive headline in all caps. Heroes triumph over killer sludge villain. And underneath that is a smaller headline. Workless boy runs in, causes classmate's death. Yes, Stain thinks to himself as he goes to save his student's ass. They really are the scum of the earth.
Hey y'all, let me know what you think of the sound quality, because I got a new mic for my birthday and it just arrived this past week, and I definitely think it sounds better, but let me know. Now, this is part 1 of a series under the same name, The Hero Killer's Apprentice, by Lily Pinwielder, and the next one is going to be A Hopeless Endeavor. Let me know if y'all like this one and are looking forward to the next one.